Jason twist.
Save, rebound, but wide. Darren Pang just wrapped him.
Can't beat the heart of a lion and Kelly Chase. Gardner is in alone, shooting. Pang again! What a glove save!
I know one thing. He's not going to back Kelly Chase up at all. Chase will fight this thing until he's absolutely out of gas.
A great play along the wall to start with, just keeping the puck in. Shattenkirk with a quick decision. Schwartz bouncing on the puck.
The save of the year. The absolute save of the year. Holy jumping, what a save this is.
The pucker factor down on the Chicago bench is pretty high right now, let me tell you.
The Blues have stuck with the plan. The push was on, and that leaves the sniper off the bar and in the net. And that is our drive to the net, and why wouldn't it be?
This is Chasing Pucks with Panger, only on NHLPodcast.com, a Lineup Media Group production. Now, your hosts, Kelly Chase and Darren Pang.
Welcome in here to Chasing Pucks with Panger on NHLPodcast.com. We are back coming at you, folks, and loving the podcast. Kelly Chase in here with Darren Pang. Panger40 at Panger40 on your Twitter handle, and at Chasing Pucks at Chasing Pucks 39 for our podcast here on NHLPodcast.com. And Panger, I'm excited about this week. We got some great topics. We look around the league a little bit, and 3-on-3 was announced. We're going to get a little of that. We got some rule changes we want to talk about a little bit. And as well, kind of a little bit of good and the bad, unexpected stuff. Austin Matthews, projected number one pick in the National Hockey League, injured, playing in Switzerland, went for the pro, playing in Switzerland right now. And then, of course, we had a record broken by Ovi, as he broke the record for the most goals of a Russian-born player. And then a little bit of fun we have with the rookies. Max Domi was one of the guys that his teammates had a little fun with, a little bit entertaining. So this week on Chasing Pucks with Panger, we are going to have a little bit of fun. Are you ready for this, big boy?
Yeah, all I know is that when you were turning pro, nobody in Switzerland wanted you to go play. Is that fair to say?
That is a fact, Jack.
Yeah. You know what's been fun is the response with our podcast. I think it's been really, really good at NHLpodcast.com, and I think that last week we had a real good run at it, Chaser, and only going to get better and better, and loads of things happen in the NHL, and some great stuff going on.
Hey, listen, you're absolutely right. And if folks, you want to check out any of the other podcasts, you can check it out now at lineupmediagroup.com. You know, we can, they got the Ochi Man behind the eight ball. You're on the clock. Let's get it on, the MMA with Big John McCarthy and Sean Wheelock. So just go to the lineupmediagroup.com if you're looking for some great podcasts. Go to at NHLpodcast.com, and we will give you some of this love. And also, hey, we've been talking about this a little bit going around the league. We are having fun with people who are asking us about it. And they're like, hey, that was neat. I want to come on. I was laughing. Brian Duff from Buffalo the other day. He said, "Hey, I listened to the podcast. It was awesome. When are you going to have me on?" I'm like, "Hey, you can come on anytime you want. You want to come in and kill some time with us."
Well, Duffer's got no hair, so that's number one. He's good.
Oh, so he's good. The guys
number two, that Twitter account at NHL Ties. They do a great job of having fun with a lot of people out there, and they love Duffer. They love his tie.
Duffer, they like his poise with the tie.
Yeah,
he's got the perfect angles.
He's got they call it the oak method when you have your microphone off to the side and you can clearly see the knot. And there's disqualification on at NHL Ties when you do that.
Is that a Scott Oak?
Scott Oak, absolutely.
Scott Oak, okay.
He's got it perfected.
Perfect,
now,
okay.
Hey, you know John Shannon's a good man. He's been in the NHL a long time in production, and now he's on the air for Sportsnet and does a lot of shows that way. And I was looking at one of the games. We were watching a big monitor in a green room there in Toronto, and he says, "I'm so tired of this Scott Oak method and guys holding their microphones that way." Well, I do that all the time. So I'm like, what? What's wrong with that? You got your microphone on in a good shape. And then I saw an OHL game on. There was an Ottawa 67s game on regional television in Canada. And the guy had his mic. This bothers you too. He had his mic microphone. He's got the headset on with the mic covering his face while he's on the air.
Terrible
drives
producer.
you nuts, right?
Yeah.
So I say to John Shannon, who's been in production forever, he goes, "You guys worry so much about that stuff." And I was shocked to hear him say that because I thought he, as an executive producer of Hockey Night in Canada for so long, would be bothered by that. He was not bothered whatsoever by that. But so anyway, Duffer's always allowed on the program for sure.
I love it. Well, let's start off with the All-Star game. Big announcement.
Huge
Announce
announcement.
a 3-on-3 and how they're going to do the teams and what exactly they're going to put into picking the teams and each division. Coming out with a format that they're going to have 6 forwards, 3 defensemen, and 2 goalies on each team, and you're going to play a tournament, a mini tournament.
Yeah.
And if you win, you move on, and you could play. You play against the winning team. The winning team gets $100,000 each.
So it's $1 million pot. And so the obviously the East, the 2 divisions, they play one another. The winner advances. The West does the same thing. The winner advances. You've got a little championship game for 20 minutes. But the thing about this is fans are going to look at this and say, "Oh, great! You're going to have this unbelievable lineup." There's only, as you said, six forwards, 3 defensemen, 2 goalies. So you're really talking about 9 players on the ice, and every team has to be represented, Chaser. So you got to really think of this. And Hockey Ops, Chris King is leading the charge in the National Hockey League. I talked to him the other day. This isn't easy. I put together the Central Division. I don't have Jonathan Taves in the All-Star game. You know? I've got, like a team like St. Louis is a top team. I've got one guy on it.
Yeah, I know.
One guy, which is obviously Vladdy Tarasenko.
Vladdy Tarasenko. So we're talking about who we had to pick last night, and I was looking at all the names, and I was like, I don't know how I can pick this guy and not pick Alex Steen. Well, I already got a guy. So when you start going down, you think, well, I got to have Taves and Kane.
Yeah.
And then I got to have Duncan Keith. Okay. I do. All right. So there's 3 off of Chicago. And then I looked and said, okay, well then, I'm going to go down here and I got to have Shea Weber, and they're hosting it. So Pecorine,
that makes it more difficult.
Pecorine.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you look and go, well, maybe we got to have him because they're hosting, right?
Yeah.
Got to have him, right?
And his record speaks for itself.
No question. Jake Allen to me should be in the.
Yeah.
Okay.
9-4-0 record with a minuscule goals against average.
Awesome.
Save percentage
been
is
fantastic.
His save percentage and goals against is better than anybody's. It doesn't have as many wins, but he's only one off the win mark of Dubnyk and Pecorine at this point anyway.
So I put Buff in there because I wasn't sure who to pick from Winnipeg.
On D?
Yeah.
See, I didn't put Buff on D. I put Blake Wheeler as a forward.
Well, see, now that was a discussion I had last night, and I thought, well, and then you got Zach Parise because you got to have a guy from Mini. So who are you going to have?
I had Dubnyk.
You had Dubnyk, okay.
I threw Dubnyk in goal.
You might be right about it too, but I'll tell you what, I like, but if I'm somebody's giving me a choice between the 2 goalies, I'm going to take Jake Allen. That's just me.
Yeah. Okay, let's just say Dubnyk gets hurt. Okay, now you need a Minnesota Wild on there. So now you got to revamp your forwards to get, let's say, Zach Parise in there or Ryan Suter on the blue line.
Yeah.
But then you got to take somebody off.
Well, yeah, it's not an easy deal. I mean, and then you look where Chicago is in the standings, and you know how great those players are. The other thing that I was looking at is in my opinion, the best one-on-one player in the game. Well, maybe Patrick Kane, but the best one-on-one player in the game right now is still Pavel Datsyuk. Now he's been hurt, so he's not going to have the numbers that reflect how good he is. But if you wanted to watch 3-on-3, come on. Taking him out there every time. Every time. He's going to make somebody look silly with that much space.
Yeah, I agree with you. Here's my central division, and boy, this didn't come without a lot of pain. So let me tell you this right now: Patrick Kane, Tarasenko, Jamie Benn, Tyler Seguin. I kept the dynamic tandem together in Dallas because I think, listen, they're having a phenomenal year.
I kept them together.
They're great. You've got to reward guys for being great together. And can you imagine them 3-on-3 together?
No.
I mean, when I watch Dallas Stars hockey, I just can't wait for Jamie Benn to get on the ice. He's one of my favorite players in the NHL.
Do you remember a couple of years ago when I said when we were with a certain general manager and he asked you, what would you do? Would you put Jamie Benn on the team? I said
on the Olympics, yes.
Yeah, on the Olympic team.
Yeah.
And I said, what?
In a heartbeat.
I said he's like my top 3 picks.
Yeah.
And they're like, really?
Yeah.
And then by the end of the year, he earned his way on there. And by the time the Olympics were over, he was one of their best players.
For sure.
And we've seen what he's done since.
Complete hockey player.
So maybe
I got Blake Wheeler in Winnipeg, and then I've got Colorado was tough for me because I didn't have a goalie for Colorado. Really, no goalie there. Varlamov hasn't played that well enough to be there. And then on defense, you could argue with Tyson Barrie,
right?
Eric Johnson. Who else? Boschman's played real well. But then I went to Nathan McKinnon. I thought on 3-on-3, Nathan McKinnon or Duchesne, but I picked Nathan McKinnon because I picked
Duchesne over, but that was
there we go. So there we go with that. On defense, I'm leading with John Klingberg.
You like that? I didn't pick him because he had 2 already, and I want to see Ben and Sagan.
I know.
And who I picked I picked Buff, but I picked Shea Weber, of course. And
same here. And I picked Roman Josi. I got 2 Nashville Predators on there. So I dropped off Duncan Keith because of his injury.
Right.
And I feel bad about because
but by February?
Yeah.
Or January?
January, yeah.
By January, you got a guy there.
Yeah, we have lots of time for this, but
but because they made the announcement. So what do you think about the format though? That's the important thing to me.
I don't have very many concerns other than the 20 minutes stop time might be too long for a limited amount of players. You and I are old guys now, but I know when I was skating before my knee replacement, get out on the ice with only 6 players or 8 players or 10 players, even at our pace, is difficult. I know these players are world-class guys and they can go Mach 10, but I'm just thinking that might be a little long. That's just my feeling.
Right.
But I like it, though, because we've changed something. Chaser, it was embarrassing last year. It was embarrassing to watch. It was embarrassing saying that that's our National Hockey League because the casual fan is going to watch the All-Star game because it's the All-Star game. But when a casual fan turns it on and sees that no one's turning a dime, it was painful to watch. It was unwatchable, actually, is what it was. So this is better than unwatchable. I think it's going to be okay.
I think it'll be exciting. If they don't want to check anybody, it's hard to check anyway. I mean, they don't want to hit anybody in an All-Star game. They don't want anybody getting hurt.
Right.
This is a pace that everyone, as you said, I'm not sure about the pace. But I will tell you this. There are a lot of players in the league that don't like 3-on-3. I heard Carlson the other day talking about it. I heard Alex Steen from St. Louis Blues say, I hate this. I'm a traditionalist. Yep. I think it's ridiculous. He goes, and I said, well, what about the shootout? And he goes, it's crazy too. And I said, but there's penalty shots in a game. There's more penalty shots. Some of these ridiculous calls they're giving guys penalty shots for now, it to me is a joke. Yeah. But they're getting penalty shots, so what's the difference if it's a shootout? Well, he said, well, there's 3-on-3 too. And I said, I bet you if you looked at the number of times there's a 3-on-3 in a year based upon the way the game is right now, yet looked at the amount of penalty shots there were, it'd be a huge gap.
Yeah.
I think.
Penalty shots over 3-on-3.
Oh, I think there's way more penalty shots than there are 3-on-3 opportunities in the game.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we just witnessed a game between St. Louis and Buffalo. Okay? And by the way, the Buffalo Sabres, they're going to be a darn good team in no time
structure.
flat.
This is the first time they've had structure in a while.
Yeah, and they expect to win every game. But that 3-on-3, there wasn't a fan at Scott Trade Center. They stood the entire time.
The entire time.
On their feet the entire time.
Yeah.
I mean, the only other time they stand on their feet is when there's a goal or a fight. Right. Well, they stood for the entire 3-on-3 because it was end-to-end action. It was really exciting.
I love watching it, and I think I said on the last show that the first 13 3-on-3s that were played, the team that won the opening face-off had a scoring chance. Mm-hmm. So how important is that first face-off? Because I mean, literally, it's almost like there has to be a turnover from a chance, basically, before the puck's turned over. Yeah. Like it's all happened almost every time.
Goalie save. Big save,
go the other way. That's exactly what happens in this one.
Yeah, you can't get fancy. Do you remember early in the year when Ryan Getzlaff tried to do a cute little drop pass? Thought, we're just playing a little pond hockey out there. Right. Breakaway the other way, game's over. Right. Just like that.
Right. And
a
lot of them have ended in the first minute. So that leads me to my next question for you. Tell me about the rule changes that you want to see. Because you and I were talking about this a little bit, and you were saying, and I'll give you a little my philosophy on some of them too while we're changing things.
Well, it was mentioned to me the other day about making power plays full 2 minutes, and I just said, but we have so many calls that are so questionable. A ticky-tack call, and everybody in the building knows it's not a good call. The referee probably looks at it later, it's not a good call, and a full 2-minute power play, I think we're treading down difficult water. So here's the only one that I've liked so far. While you're a man short, you can't ice the puck.
Wow. Well, that certainly would create chances, and I guess our game has evolved and changed in many ways. That certainly would create some chances, and who knows. If you couldn't ice the puck, trying to play the keep away would certainly have turnovers. Yeah. Line changes would be awful difficult. It would be interesting, certainly. That's something I got to think a little bit longer and harder on.
What do you think?
Well, the first thing I would do, not even a question, I'd get rid of that trapezoid. I think that a goalie playing a puck is a skill, and if you want to keep the game moving, let him play the puck. Let him play the puck. That's me, okay? Yeah. Brett Hall, his philosophy on something that I've thought about, I've had time to think about this one, is move the nets back where they're supposed to be. You want goals to be scored? We're a goal scorer. They're not scored from behind the net. Yeah. Say, oh, no, they make plays behind the net. No, they don't. Coaches now have players grinding the puck into a corner, into a bloody corner, cycling 60 times, killing a clock.
Yeah.
You want to push the nets back? Now the puck's in front of the net. Now pucks are getting to the front of the net. Put the net back where it was. I like that.
Gretzky was pretty good behind the net when they were back in the normal
he wasn't
position.
Bad. Last time I checked, he was okay.
Last time I checked, he was.
Right.
And so is Doug Gilmour. And hold on, so is Bobby Clark. So is, let's just go through the names.
Ryan Trottier and
so I don't disagree with that at all, Chaser. I think that's not bad. But I'm going to go back to your trapezoid for 1 second.
Okay.
Now, the trapezoid in itself was, maybe it was the right idea, but to me they had it the wrong way. You're allowing a brutal puck-playing goaltender that has no mobility or skating ability to stop a puck behind the net. First thing they should have done was eliminate that.
Well, that's fine. Okay.
So if you take the trapezoid as it is, you're allowed to go into the trapezoid area that they're not allowing you to, but you're not allowed to go behind the net. That, to me, makes a lot of sense. Those little silly dump-ins that the players aren't very good at doing and a goalie stops it, that's what really stops a forecheck.
Right.
So why would we have them with limited ability or hockey sense? Why would we appreciate that goaltender? I'd appreciate the guy that can come out and play the puck. And there's so many goalies that can't play it but think they can. Like Patrick Wall was a good example.
That's when
he went out and played the puck.
Right.
And I mean, not 9 times out of 10, because he did move the puck pretty well, but he always wanted to do a little bit more. And you could always get a turnover going on there.
Now, from what I understand, if you talk to the competition committee, this is one of the things that Mr. Bettman is adamant about. We're not getting rid of that trapezoid. Mm-hmm. When, I mean, there's just so many people in the game that
I bet I could talk him into reversing the trapezoid.
I think you could.
And he and I are the same size.
Right, you are.
We wear the same size suits, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, 36 short.
38 now.
38.
Sorry,
My bad, pal. My bad. One of the things that I wanted to bring up that was a change that you and I haven't discussed, so I want to see a reaction. Why don't we get rid of the blue lines? Okay, so in 1927 they put these things. They changed the rule. They made blue. They added lines in 1918. In 1927. 28, they made the blue, they spread it out, so there was 60 feet between them then, so there was more, and you could make a forward pass. So in 18 you couldn't make a forward pass, so they wanted to give you a place where you could make a forward pass. So in the old days you had to carry the puck out of the zone, you could make a back pass, but you couldn't make a forward pass. Now they said, we want a place where you can make a forward pass, so they make a forward pass in the neutral zone. Then when you were in the offensive zone, then you could, they changed it so you could do that. If that's the case, why don't we just play a basketball rule? Like you tried it in college at one time. It's the over back rule. You can keep the red line. You can go wherever you want, just like basketball, but you can't bring it back over the red line. You have to keep it in. So now the D have to pinch at the red line.
And if it goes outside the red line, you have
everybody's
to all
got to clear.
And then come back in again. Yeah.
Now, once everybody clears, you can go down and start behind your net and throw a home run pass if that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
But I think
would that ever open things up?
Well, I think it would it would make, and here's the other thing that it would do. Eventually, coaches with all the video would learn how to defend against it. But there'd be a process in there.
Yeah.
A certain process in there.
Well, would you ever
a
have
learning
a lot of
curve.
2-on-1s and 3-on-1s and
well, everybody's standing on their feet for this now, but that way you get all the players involved in the game. Because this crap they do now with all these penalties drives me insane. Yeah. I hate all of the penalties, and the referees are going to say, "Well, they want more penalties because they want more scoring." Well, the guys that are your guys, not everybody comes to see just a great player. Todd Ewan used to say, "Hey, listen, they're coming to watch, the goalies, the fighters, and the scorers." Well, there's a lot of guys in there that people come to see, and in any of those roles. Mm-hmm. But when there's penalties for 7 or 8 minutes of a game, and you're not on one of those specialty teams because you might not be on a penalty kill and your team's getting dinged, and then it goes to the power play, and you watch a guy play 3 minutes who's a fun player to watch because he's physical, he likes to get in them, he's got some emotion, he's got some character, charisma that he brings to the game, drives me insane not seeing Steve Ott on the ice, who's a guy that has all of those things. Mm-hmm. And to me, if you did this and got rid of the blue lines, you'd have a much. Then you wanted skill players. You'll see skill.
Yeah, I you know what? I this isn't as far fetched as I thought it was when it first came out of your mouth. Well, we're all the same in our business, huh? We're all so skeptical. Always revert
you're looking
back
across, going, "Oh, here he goes again with that hit in the head thing."
Yeah, I wasn't sure who the last guy to get you in the head was, but
Proby.
But you know what? That here's to the late Bob Probert, huh?
Yeah.
Cheers, Bob. I once slashed him in front of the net. I'm going to a little, and I learned a little bit about the game in this situation. I'm poking away. He's a big guy. I think I'm doing the right thing. I'm going to poke away at him until he turns around and he drills Bob McGill, who was my defenseman, right in the jaw.
Right.
Bob McGill, the next whistle, comes back to me and says, "Would you quit poking Bob Probert? He's not going to hit you. You're just a little guy. He wouldn't hit you anyway." Okay. So then, sure enough, I still didn't understand what he was talking about. They fought. It was my fault.
Oh, yeah.
And the little things inside the game.
Jimmy Montgomery. I'm going to tell Jimmy Montgomery is going to be mentioned twice in this show because I got a story about him a little later. But Jimmy Montgomery was a little bit of an agitator out there. He would play the game. He trying to find a way to stay in the game. And he one time was in Long Island was just poking his stick through at everybody, and stirring up. You know what? And Paul Stewart was doing the game. And he just came in and he said, "All right, everybody out of here. Baumgartner and Chase are going to fight." I'm looking around going, whoa. Kenny Baumgartner's not even on the same side of the pile as I am right now. I'm like, what? And he goes, everybody out. Chase and Baumgartner are going to go. And, Kenny, he wasn't about to, he was looking around, where you at, Chase? Where you at? And that's how Kenny was, right?
Yeah.
And him and I get after it. And I came to the bench, and Paul Stewart said, "You can thank your centerman there, Jimmy Montgomery, for that one." So when I got to the bench, I said, "Jimmy, listen, I'll fight for you and stick up for everything that you do on the ice. But let me tell you, if I have to be in another one tonight with Ken Baumgartner, because you keep doing that after the whistle, you and I are going to fight tomorrow at practice. I am not doing this. Do you understand me?" He said, "I do." I said, "Okay, perfect. We're going to get along just fine." I couldn't, and that's, it was all settled. It was understood, and just exactly the same story, and that's how they repped it. But no, I think that moving the blue lines, so we're back on course, would be something that would be great, and I think that it would be something that they have to consider, because once the teams catch on to it, it would give the coaches another dynamic to have to sit in their office and a reason to watch video because they watch too much of it already. So
I'm going to throw this in, Chaser, because today's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download and 30 days free trial at what is that, buddy? audibletrial.com/NHL. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player.
Yeah, no, I like it. We're going to be back in a minute. This is Chasing Pucks with Panger on NHLpodcast.com.
Hola, muchachos, my friends. This is the Ocho Man from the Ocho Man Behind the 8 Ball podcast. If you're enjoying Chasing Panger show, you got to give our podcast a listen. We've got a new show every Friday with the great crew of guys that talk everything from sports, conspiracies, stock market, whatever crazy shit that we talk about. It's crazy. I'm telling you, guys will love it. Find our show now on ochoman.com, on iTunes and Stitcher and all major podcast outlets. Brought to you by Lineup Media Group, my friends.
Back here with Darren Pang. I'm Kelly Chase. I'm chasing pucks with Panger on NHLpodcast.com. And we had a great lineup of topics to talk about today, Panger. But one of the things we got to make sure we tell you about, listen, if you like the show, give us some love. The next time you're going to buy something on Amazon, it's easy to do, as you guys all shop online, you know how to do it. Before you do, you go to our website, at NHLpodcast.com. You click on the Amazon banner, okay? It doesn't cost you a thing to do it. You're going there anyway. Go to NHLpodcast.com, click on the Amazon banner, and we get credit for a referral. And then it helps us keep the show on the air and pay some of the bills around here. So it's our Audible, our Amazon.com. Just go there, go through our podcast, and hey, but that's how we pay bills around here, Panger.
That's right, NHLpodcast.com.
NHLpodcast.com.
Chasing Pucks with Panger. And we're on Twitter at Panger40 and at Chasing Pucks.
The Goon and the Goalie?
The Goon and the Goalie. That was Marty Kilcoyne.
That might have been better, but Chasing Pucks 39 at Chasing Pucks 39 is my Twitter handle, and at Panger40. Let's talk a little bit right now about a record that was broke last night as Alex Ovechkin breaks the Russian scoring record. Ovi had his 484th goal in 777 games, which it's almost 470 games sooner than Sergei Fedorov, who is the record holder until last night. Alex McGillney had 473 in 990 games, and Pavel Bure 437 in 702, and then Alexei Kovalev 1,316 games he played, had 430 goals. So
he was a good player.
He was a good player.
Fancy player. He's a good player. He's a good player. Fancy player.
Hey, Alex Ovechkin, I mean, I know it's tougher to score goals now. Would he have been one of those guys that had the numbers in a season like Brett Hall, Gretzky, and Mario?
I agree with that. I don't think he had exactly the same type of hockey sense as them, but I think he had the will and the desire to bowl through people.
He is bullish, isn't he?
I give him a lot of credit. I think there was a time when I think all of us in media, a little guilty of picking on the Russian players or the European players that we felt like their main goal wasn't winning the Stanley Cup. You know, I thought at one point
I can agree with that.
His main goal was going to the World Championships or going to the Olympics or whatever. But I have a lot of admiration for him. Even when he's not playing well, he forechecks hard. He finishes his checks. He plays with passion. And yet, you know, when he did some things like scoring his 50th goal, he dropped his stick and he wanted to, you know, not touch it like it was real too hot. And you remember Don Cherry and many people just ripped on him for that. But it was interesting, you know, Nick Kypreos, and you probably scrapped around with Kipper and you know him real well. He kind of challenged me the other day saying, does he have a chance to break Gretzky's goal scoring record? 894 goals is what Gretz scored in the regular season.
I did the math last night.
It's hard, huh? He'd have to play till he's 40 and average 40 goals a year to get to that moment. Is that the same math you got?
Yeah.
Because you know my math. It's not very good.
And I also looked at, here's the other thing I looked at. I looked at, you know, not just the way he plays the games, the way that guys get injured. You know, the game is those great players get hit a lot more, and the way he punishes guys, the way he wants to play a power forward type of a game. Brett Hall made the comment that he thought he would catch him at 741, and I thought, you know what? I don't know. It would make him
741's not far off the mark.
No, it's not.
Not far off the mark.
You know, but yet, you know, he's going to finish his season, and by all accounts, he's going to be over 500 and whatever. So he's 200 and some away. But now you're talking about the 50-goal seasons. How many of them does he have left?
He's going to have to sprinkle in a 60-goal season, a 58-goal season, and that'll allow him to drop down to a 41-goal season. But the thing is, and everybody wants to talk about the size of the nets. It's a conversation again. Every player has shot blockers on their skates.
Yeah.
Every player's in the shooting lane.
Yeah.
It's amazing to me that pucks even get through to the net. Besides the nets and the size of the goalies, it's amazing that they even get through to the net. But he plays a less, what's the way to describe, predictable game. Less predictable game. He used to come down the left side, cut back to the right, have a little snapshot or whatever. Yeah. I've seen some of the goals he's scored now. He's been unbelievable.
Well, he will now take the puck down. I saw the other night, he took the puck down the right wing and spun off a guy and then stutter stepped into the middle of the ice, and I was like, what is he almost pulled two guys' hamstrings trying to figure out where he was going, and then got a shot on goal off his back foot, and I was like, there's so many things that he's so special at.
Yeah.
And it's strength more than anything. I mean, he's got speed and he shoots the puck so well. Those are all attributes that a goal scorer has. But very few goal scorers have the power to bowl over somebody that he has. And I think that's what makes him special.
I think
Sergei Fedorov played a different
it.
type of a game. He was
Sergei
Fedorov was graceful.
Yeah.
It was his jersey flapping in the neutral zone. When Sergei Fedorov got his legs planted out to the side and he was coming at you, he was going so fast, you had absolutely no idea what he was going to do.
Yeah.
Where if you had if Ovi's coming at you, he just drills you if he wants to. He slips it by you. He's going to lean his shoulder into you. He's pretty direct.
And the difference is one really was a centerman in Sergei. So,
sure.
One being a centerman, one being a full-on winger, gets in on the hunt, gets in on the forecheck, has an appetite and a thirst for scoring goals. We talked about Sergei. Alexander Mogilny. I mean, I loved watching Alexander Mogilny. I mean, more so than Bure. I thought Bure sort of bothered me a little bit. I mean, it's funny this way. The goal scorers have to score goals, so they cheat. But he was the biggest cheater of them all. And I don't mean that in a... He just left the zone so quickly.
But he would have been far over 500 if he'd have played 1,000 games.
And no red line. If there was no red line, could you imagine Pavel Bure?
No.
Can you imagine?
Because you can't catch him. Half a step on you, bye-bye.
And he was, from a goalie's point of view, he had a number of options. He was a great deker.
Yeah,
great deker. Yeah, he could go forehand, backhand, forehand, up under the bar and in. He fooled you. He made goalies look stupid with some of his moves, Yeah,
I remember Jeff Courtnall telling a story about how he told he told the guys in the room. He said, I'm gonna make sure tonight that don't worry tonight because we're gonna win this game. We're gonna be fine. And in the first period, having 2 goals in the first period and coming in the room and the guys, and it was a 2-1 game and he started playing with a different lineup. And he looked at Quinn, and Quinn said, well, I'm trying to get some other guys going. If you're that adamant about how you're going to play, we might as well put you with whoever and get everybody going in this game. And I thought it was funny that you could have a player that could come in, and we've heard that out of guys before, where they come in and they're going to command what's going on. I mean, you've heard the story about Brett Hall jumping over the boards in L.A. because he wasn't allowed to play at the end of the game.
Yeah. And
Hully jumped over the boards when they tied it up late in the game, and he wouldn't come off the ice. And Brian Sutter was trying to get him off the ice, and he wouldn't look over at the bench, and he's screaming at Hully, and Hully's not paying attention to him. And pretty soon Koharski says, listen, one of you guys got to get off the ice. So Richie Sutter's standing there with him. He goes, Richie, get the off the ice. So Richie turns around and goes back. He goes, he won't come off the ice. So Brian's snorting mad, and Hully stays on the ice. Cujo's forced to make about 4 saves because Hully's doing loops, doing nothing. But he was so mad that he wasn't allowed to play the last 5 minutes of the game. He stays out there, catches the puck on the left wall, goes down the left side, cuts into the middle of the ice, and just rips a shot by Kelly Rudy, and we win with 30 seconds left in the game. And he doesn't even let anyone congratulate him. He just goes to the bench and says, we're playing overtime in L.A. He wasn't playing overtime. I mean, he was mad. He didn't go any. But it's a player like that can command the game the way they do. Command the game. Because that's what they do. They take command of the game.
Oh, we see Vladdy Tarasenko. He's got the ability to command the game.
Yeah.
He has the ability. And if you're strong like Bull, want the puck.
Patrick Kane in
a different way, huh?
Completely different way.
In a more of a Gretzky-like way.
You can see on
more of a Denny Savard-like way.
Right. You can see on the power play when Patty Kane, when it doesn't go well for them on a power play, he's upset. And the next time they have a power play, it's not that he goes and steals the puck.
But he does.
Yeah. He literally gets himself in such an obvious lane to get the puck that he's like, you have no option but to give me that puck.
It's going
from his
through
teammates. He is like, this whole thing's going to revolve around me. Give me the puck.
Did you ever play box lacrosse growing up out west?
Yeah. No, not out west.
No?
I actually played it in the city. Out west. But I didn't play growing up.
Yeah.
I played it. I came back to Saskatoon and
played it there,
and played it a little bit there. Yeah.
It's such a big game in Ontario, and I played it all my life. It was my favorite. It was my favorite sport because I was a centerman. I got to score goals and roll off checks. But Patrick Kane was a lacrosse player growing up, and you can see that, huh? You can see that the way that he spins off people and looks and shakes and bakes and always rolling off guys. Because in lacrosse, you're allowed to cross-check in box lacrosse, not in field lacrosse, but in box lacrosse. And you have to roll off those hits. Otherwise, you're getting them right in the kidneys, boy. Right. And it doesn't feel very good. But you talk about a motivated guy with all that he went through in the off-season. And now he's... I think he looks back at that now and just wants to say to everybody, I'm a hockey player. I told you I did nothing wrong. Here I am.
Right.
I think he wants to win the Art Ross, the Conn Smythe, and the Stanley Cup. Look out, everybody.
He has it in his mind that he's going to dominate the season, and thus far he has.
Yeah, yes.
So, I look at a guy like Ovi as being a little different. He's a guy that can command the game as well. You know, he's certainly got the potential to get to the kind of numbers like Hull and Gretzky, those types of guys, and I mean longevity. Look at Jaromir Jagr. Every time he's on the ice, now he's setting a new record for himself because he's marching up in the scoring standings.
Yeah, and it's funny because here in St. Louis, the passion for a Stanley Cup is undeniable. Undeniable.
No question.
Jagger's played a long time now with so many teams. You wonder what his motivation is it just to play till he's 50, or is it to win again? And I know he's a remarkable athlete, but for Ovechkin, of all the players out there, for him to win a Stanley Cup in Washington, wouldn't that be something for all he's endured?
It certainly would be.
It'd be something else.
Certainly would be. Yeah. Well, one thing about the guy is that he has a thirst for playing. He has a thirst for scoring. And I really believe a passion for the game, not just for his home country and homeland, which he certainly had been accused of early in his career, but he has a passion to bring the Stanley Cup there. Folks, this is Chasing Pucks with Panger. The website is NHLpodcast.com. Our Twitter handle at NHL Show. And Facebook.com, you go to /NHL Show, email, info at NHLpodcast.com. So if you have anything you want to throw at us, just email us, info at NHLpodcast.com. Or subscribe, you can go to iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, or any of the major podcast outlets and click on subscribe. Leave us that 5-star rating. We'll take it. We'll take that 5-star rating, folks. It'll help us.
It'll be our best rating ever.
No question about it. And remember, you can check us out on our other shows on Lineup Media Group. There's a whole pile of shows you can check out there. Lineup Media Group is the place to find us. And, personalized, you can just plug the show, Facebook, Twitter, anything you can do. We appreciate it. We want people listening, and we want your input, and we want your feedback. And that'll dictate a little bit about what we do here. So I'm Kelly Chase. He's Darren Pang. We'll be back in a minute on Chasing Pucks with Panger.
Big John McCarthy has witnessed the best that the UFC has had to offer over his years.
Hey, this is Big John McCarthy.
And this is Sean Wheelock. Be sure to join us every week for Let's Get It On, as John and I bring you the inside view of MMA and combat sports.
We're going to discuss the latest issues, debate the hottest topics, and interview some of the biggest stars from the combat fighting arena. Plus, I'll answer your questions and always separate the fact from the fiction.
That's Let's Get It On with Big John McCarthy and me, Sean Wheelock, with a new episode debuting every Friday.
You can go straight to our website at letsgetitonpodcast.com. Get ready, because we're going to bring you the truth about MMA and combat sports. The real question is, can you handle the truth?
We're back here with Darren Pang. I'm Kelly Chase, Chasing Pucks with Panger on NHLpodcast.com. And Panger, let's get right to the controversy that's kind of stemmed based on a young fellow, Austin Matthews. He's projected to be the first pick overall in the draft. He elects to play over in Europe.
Yeah.
A younger kid. They felt like him playing major junior, I guess, wasn't going to benefit him any, which to me, I don't know if I think I disagree with that. He hadn't played any major junior hockey, so for him to do it, I think would have been. Now, just if you're going over to Europe just to make the money, that's probably the wrong thing, because the longevity of what a kid could do in the NHL is certainly going to pay all your bills. So he is playing in a game, and he gets injured. And we've seen this before, where younger guys coming in the league don't quite have that man strength, and they get injured. Right decision, wrong decision for him.
Based on him getting injured, playing with men at that age, it does put question into mind. I grew up like you grew up in major junior A hockey, and I remember the decision that a good friend of mine ended up having, Steve Eiserman. When we were in Tier 2 playing together, we were both underages, and he was even an underage, and so many options that he had. Tier 2 to college hockey or to major junior A. He was drafted 4th overall, and I was the first goalie drafted in the Ontario Hockey League. It made my decision a no-brainer.
Right.
All I wanted to do was play in the major junior A to get me to the best path to the NHL. I'm surprised because so many kids. Arizona gets drafted to the Western Hockey League. Michigan, I'm just using examples. They get drafted to the Ontario Hockey League.
Right.
Places in Mass and wherever, they get drafted into the Quebec Hockey League. If you go to a city that you really don't like, or you really don't like the manager, you don't like the coach, or you don't like how they've developed some players, then I think Austin makes a pretty good decision here. Playing Tier 2 hockey with the level that he's at, probably not good enough for him. Maybe going to the development program,
right,
and really getting that strength, and like a guy like Matthew Tkachuk did, and then took off to London. But I look at it here. So basically, in Zurich, that's where Austin Matthews is playing. 1-year contract. His residence permit didn't take effect until his 18th birthday, which was September 17th. So he got that all taken care of. Native of Scottsdale, Arizona, which is really amazing in itself, isn't it?
No, that's the growth of hockey in non-traditional markets has been phenomenal, and I think it's awesome. Dallas kids going, and Seth Jones. Now you're seeing Austin Matthews. I think those non-traditional markets, and there's going to be more and more of them coming out of that California area.
And Seth's a good example. Like, he's playing minor hockey out of Dallas. His younger brother Caleb also both protected or drafted by the Portland Winterhawks. And Seth went out and played there in Portland, went to the Memorial Cup, played great, lost in the last game, and ends up being the 4th overall draft pick. I think if it were my son, and I would have highly recommended that he play major junior A. Highly recommended.
I would have too.
Because he's going to be in major junior A for 1 year. That's going to be it. And you're going to play in more of a National Hockey League schedule. You're going to be able to play with your contemporaries. You're going to be able to still play with 19 and 20-year-olds. So, but playing against 25 to 35-year-olds is a little bit different, and so that's why I would have. Now, on the other side of it, let's say I'm the dad of Austin Matthews, and I decide to go to Switzerland and spend the year with him. Then I'm going too.
Well, it's not bad, and it's not like he's struggling in this league he's in either. Yeah, he's got 17 points in 14 games, and 10 of them are goals. So it's a young man that's certainly capable of playing over there.
He's a big
now.
boy too.
Yeah, and he's a big
210
kid.
pounds.
Yeah.
210 pounds.
No, he's 6'2", and I don't know. Has he got to that weight now? He is 6'2". I knew that, and he's a big kid. Yeah,
and 210. So big lower half. He's got big legs, big lower half, big rear end.
I love your
hockey bum.
I like your
Babs?
Mike Babcock.
He's got a big lower half. He's a good player. And he's coached by Mark Crawford too.
So
hey, that's another thing. Coached by Crawford.
Right. So he's getting the NHL look. But here's one of the things that are up for discussion, and you brought this up, that we have the young guys. Connor McDavid, obviously, he gets hurt, and now that's a freak accident, and he went in hard, but would he have stayed on his feet? Would he have not got hurt if he was a little stronger? There was no place other than there for him to play. He's done everything he can do in junior, but you see it a lot with the younger guys. And I watched my good friend Wendell Clark with the Toronto Maple Leafs. He played the game like he was 6'4", 230 pounds.
Yeah.
And he wasn't. He was 5'10", 185 pounds.
Yeah.
And he was a pack of dynamite. And it really affected his career because he was an 18-year-old kid that went out and fought everybody and ran over everybody, and big man. And maybe his body wasn't equipped in the right strength patterns to handle that at a young age. And, Wendell had a great career, but I know for sure Wendell left a lot on the table with injuries because of how he played the game at such a young age.
I remember that. What hit behind the net? Was
Bruce
that on
Bell.
Steve Thomas? Bruce Bell. Steve Thomas, and he used to fight Dirk Graham, and he used to fight He was one of my favorite players, Wendell Clark was one of my favorite players.
He was one of my favorite players, and I grew up with him.
He had a wicked wrister, boy.
Oh, my goodness.
You always had to watch where he was.
Do you remember the fight you would have been playing when him and Ben Wilson went at it?
Yeah, I do remember.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah,
and like he said, he looked over and Ben Wilson was signing autographs in the penalty box, and Wendell said, I thought I was going to have a heart attack. I could hardly catch my breath. Now, what a fight that was. It was like, oh, my goodness, and this 18-year-old kid, and I say this all the time, nobody came in the league at 18. Nobody.
No.
And fought big, strong, tough guys like and men like Wendell Clark did. And there was 18-year-olds that came in the league and were tough guys. None did that. None like those. He was with the heavyweights, the lightweights. You got in his road, you bumped them, you lipped off, you stuck them. Everybody was getting it. And then you talked a little bit about Jeremy Roenick.
You know what? Jeremy Roenick tried to go to college. This was hilarious. He came to training camp, then tried to go to college, and he went to BC. And the quote in the paper was something about there was just too much homework. So he tried that for a week or 2 weeks.
That was enough. It was
and then
him and Keith Kachuk both went to the same philosophy school.
And then he went to the Hull Olympics.
Right.
And if I'm not mistaken, Alain Vignon was the coach in Hull. And then we end up recalling him in November or December, and he stuck. And it was an all-star game. I think it was in 91 or 92 that I know a few top players pulled him aside because everybody thought this guy is unbelievable. I mean, he's a two-time 50-goal scorer as a centerman. The only guy that scored 50 goals twice was Al Secord and Bobby Hull in Chicago.
Chicago, yeah.
And but he was hitting everything. He was only about 168 pounds, and whether it was Gretz or somebody else, they said, basically, you got to slow it down, man. You can't hit everything in sight. You're going to get yourself hurt.
Right, you're going to get hurt.
You're going to get hurt. You just keep going, So, anyway, real tough way to play the game.
Right.
How do you take that spunk out of somebody?
Well, you don't want.
JR's, if
you couldn't take it out of Wendell, boy.
No, that's for sure.
He played like that when he was a kid, when we were growing up, and he played like that till the last game that he played. And I felt bad. I remember a guy kind of giving him a face wash once in a game, and he looked at the guy and he kind of chuckled and just skated away. And it bothered me because I wanted to say to the guy, you almost had, like, do you have any respect for a player? Like, you can play tough against them, but don't try and embarrass Wendell Clark. Because in his day, and I can't remember who the guy was, but in his day, he would have tuned this guy in so fast it wouldn't have been funny. And yet, he was like, look, I know that I've got to get as much as I can out of this body before I retire. And so, but Austin Matthews, a heck of a player, and will be projected the number 1 pick in the NHL draft, and I am sure some team is going to be very fortunate to have a kid like that make a huge difference in their game. Listen, we want you to go to Chasing Pucks with Panger, our podcast on NHL, on NHLpodcast.com. But if you're looking for us, and we suggest that you take a little look at our show. Check out other podcasts on the network, and if you can, just give us a little love. Give us a little love and let us know what you're thinking, and we'll be happy. Because this is the best part about doing this, Pangers. We can kind of construct this and orchestrate this on however we want. And then if you want to shoot us a note, you can get us one at NHL Show on Twitter or Facebook.com/NHL Show, or you can email info@NHLpodcast.com, or you can go to Panger40 at Twitter
and
Chasing Pucks 39.
For all the listeners here of the Chasing Pucks with Panger podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial. That gives you the opportunity to check out our service. So audible.com, and let your audience know. They're all there, bud.
Hey, man, I think it's fantastic. Why not?
Go do it,
we got more. We got more to this show, man. We'll be back in a minute on Chasing Pucks with Panger.
Hey, guys. If you have kids who play baseball, or you're a coach or an instructor, you've got to check out our weekly show, Youth Baseball Talk, powered by Baseball Youth with me, your host, Jim Cromer. If you love the game of baseball, you'll really appreciate that we talk to some of the top experts about everything to do with youth baseball, including St. Louis Cardinals' own Mike Matheny, former number 1 overall pick and Major League Baseball player Andy Bennis, and some of the best national instructors like Matt Lyle, Justin Stone with the lead out of Chicago, and my good friend Steve Springer. as well as some of the best teams from across the country telling us how they do youth baseball. Find our show at youthbaseballtalk.com, through iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, and anywhere else that you would get your podcast. Thanks, and enjoy the rest of Chasing Pucks with Panger.
Back here, Kelly Chase, Darren Pang, Chasing Pucks with Panger on NHLpodcast.com. And Panger, we got to get to our tweet of the week. Texter tweet of the week. You love this, don't you?
I like the tweet of the week. I think it's fun. There's so many to choose from, though, and you and I both scroll down our our threads and all the followers that we have, or all the people that follow us and we follow other people. Anaheim Ducks put something out here that I thought was great, and I always enjoy this part of this stuff because it's deep inside. It's like so the Ducks post this here while his teammates hit the ice during a preseason game. At Ryan _ Kessler went undercover. The results, just watch. So they've got a makeup person there. They do his face up. They make his beard a little bit grizzly. They've got some glasses that make him look not at all like Ryan Kessler.
Make him look like a Ducks fan.
He looks like a Ducks fan. And he's got like underneath, he's got a pouch. Like they've got a bit of a belly going on, and he's a little bit sloppy, and he's hanging out with the fans, and he's in the stands, and he's trying to do the wave, and he's trying to, hey, who's your favorite player? And he's going through the whole thing, and I thought that was great.
Well, don't give too much of it away.
Easy thing, isn't it?
Don't
Easy
give too much. Make people go to it. Okay. You got to see it.
So here it is. It's at Anaheim Ducks. So undercover Ryan Kessler.
Okay. And if you get a feel for it and you want to go to YouTube and pick up the Kyrie Irving Uncle Drew segment. It's much like that. The Pepsi commercial.
Yeah.
Where Kyrie goes undercover as well, and he dresses up as an old guy that's going to play in a street ball game on the court, and then he just dominates. It's awesome. It's awesome. So,
did you see a little while ago, by the way, Peter Forsberg do that?
No.
In Sweden?
No.
His buddy brought him out to
he came out like he was an ankle bender?
Hockey. Yeah. And they had a makeup guy doing it all, and he was an ankle bender, and the guys were giving his friend grief. Why did you bring this guy? They're getting all sour. He can't play. He's awful. This guy's a joke. And he gets on the ice, and he's coming to the bench. He's saying, sorry. Sorry. And then he turns it on, and then he starts playing, and they're like, that's Peter Forsberg. And how they figured out it was Peter Forsberg, because he's still in the full makeup, but he made a couple of moves that looked Peter Forsberg-ish.
Right.
And
anyway, the guy's got a stamp after him.
Gig was up. It was good.
The guy's got a stamp after him. He's pretty good player.
Yeah, he's a good player.
Good player. Chasing Pucks on NHLpodcast.com. Back in a minute.
This is Lineup Media Group. Perfection in podcasting.
He's Darren Pang. I'm Kelly Chase at NHLpodcast.com. Chasing Pucks with Panger. We're back here and around the league. We got the great calls of the week and the happenings. Sometimes it's saves. Sometimes it's goals. Sometimes it's just an entertaining call by a hockey personality that loves the passion of the game. Here they are, folks. Your NHL calls of the week.
Time's wasted now in the third. Ovechkin on the go. Alex pulls up. Deflection try. Good save. Lets it in. Oshie to the goal mouth there. Backhand score! Alex Ovechkin has done it. The greatest Russian goal scorer the NHL has ever seen.
He's one better now than the great Sergei Fedorov, who was just inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame. Backstrom, who's been a helper, 45% of the goals Ovechkin has scored in his career. It doesn't get better than that. He gets in the record book with the grade 8, setting him up on a beautiful backhand pass along with T.J. Oshie.
Shot on Baxter on goal, and a save by Allen. Now Pietrangelo gets it again. Someone has lost a stick in the blue zone. Look at it in front, wide open. And Dano scores.
No, he doesn't. It's in the...
Oh, my God, I thought it was in.
It's in his glove.
It is a save of the year by Jake Allen on Dano. Are you kidding me?
I thought it was in the net. Oh, Lee jumping. Hands are up by Dano. And not only that, and they will obviously look at this.
Oh boy, that's close.
It's very close, but again, unless you've got a camera inside that glove, you can't fully determined because the on-ice call is no goal.
Upon video review, the call on the ice stands. There's no goal. The puck does not completely cross the goal line. Draisaitl trying to beat Taves up the ice, and he steamrolls ahead. Draisaitl's going to get to the net. He centered it. Hall! Crawford! Call the cops! Gage, Taylor, Hall at a 6x4, and Crawford keeps the game alive.
And the one-timer from Hall didn't spend a lot of time on his stick. What a save by Corey Crawford. He extends, goes into the splits, and watch this left glove. Absolutely robs Hall.
Now, back to Chasing Pucks with Panger on the Lineup Media Group Podcast Network.
Chasing Pucks with Panger coming at you right now. Here we go. Panger, one thing we had a little bit of fun with Max Domi in Toronto, where he's from. Had a little bit of a prank pulled on him by his teammates where they've been doing this for years, where we kind of hold the team back and then let him lead out because they say, oh, it's your hometown. You lead us out. You know, it's a big thing they do with the players. And then when Max Domi charged out onto the ice, all the players just stood in the hallway and he just flighting around out there.
How many laps did he go?
He went about 2 before he realized no one was coming out, and then he was kind of like, and he didn't know what to do. He's like, okay, all right, enough already. And, then the guys are all chuckling in the hallway watching him out there, a little embarrassing young fella out there. But it was great they got him, and he's a great sport and off to a fantastic start. But I got a story. Somebody asked me the other day, so you guys ever play any pranks on? I played a terrible, fun prank on. This is our Jimmy Montgomery story. But Jimmy Montgomery, Kevin Miller had taken and putting shaving cream in his socks. So he put his socks on, and of course there's shaving cream squirting out all over the place. And he thought it was me. Well, I came in to the locker room, and he was cutting holes in the ends of my socks, and I caught him. So I waited. I said, you shouldn't have done that. He was a rookie. You shouldn't have done that. And me of all guys, because I will get you. And
no
I know.
way. Not you.
I waited 2 weeks at a Super Bowl party at my house. Some of the young single guys went out after, and we heard the story the next day about how, he was joking around, and he had joked around with this girl, and she, kind of took a little offense to it, and he was like, and so the guys are like, get out of here, Monty, you're being, and he was a funny guy. He was a good guy. He was a fun team guy. So anyways, I had it set up so the police came to the locker room, and Mr. Shanahan, our owner, just happened to show up at the rink that day, and I'd set it up with Brendan Shanahan, and I'd set it up with Jim Rivnick and Brett Hedican, who lived with them. I said, you guys are going to get interviewed.
Got to play around,
and you just got to say, hey, it wasn't us. It was Monty. You got to play Jimmy. The game. No one else on the team knew what was going on. Sure enough, Mr. Shanahan shows up the rink, and 2 police officers happened to be there, and they come down and they said, hey, before we had a little problem at the bar last night. There's a girl that's, feels like she was, kind of assaulted. Ooh. That verbally you weren't very nice to, and she filed a complaint, just about you being rude. And he's a complaint for being rude? What are you talking? No, that never happened. That never happened. So anyways, we're going to talk about it after practice. So this poor kid couldn't make a 4-foot pass at practice. Okay, he couldn't pass gas. Okay, and so we are laughing, watching him. And Brendan Shanahan comes over and goes, "Why was Mr. Shanahan here today? He never comes to the practices." Well, now Monty's. I said, "Something happened?" And I go, "I don't know. I don't know if anything happened." So after practice, the police are waiting for him. And they're, and they've interviewed each one of these guys in a room separately, and they've got the video queued up to show them. And Jimmy Montgomery literally sells out Rivnick and Hedican and says, it might have been one of them 2, but I didn't say anything. And so now Doug Crossman starts calling him a pigeon, stool pigeon. No. And it was so funny. This kid was almost in tears. He's got as soon as it happened, he put a towel over his head. He was embarrassed. He's like, I don't know what I said. I don't know what I did. And these police officers both come clean at the same time and said, Jim Montgomery, on behalf of the St. Louis Police Department and your teammates, we got you. Oh, and he thought he was getting arrested and going to jail. And it was fantastic. And when he goes, I'll never go near your stuff again. I know it was you. I said, you got to get the right guy. I wouldn't admit for about a year that it was me that set it up, but he knew he got set up, by the guys. And I said, don't ever touch my clothes again. Don't
perfect.
Cut my clothes. Don't touch my clothes.
I love it. Love it.
So we had a little bit of fun with them. So it was one of the things we still have fun with Monty. Anyways, folks, that's what we do to young rookies, Panger. Every once in a while. We got more of those stories coming up every week. on NHLpodcast.com. On Chasing Pucks with Panger. Back in a minute to wrap things up.
Hey everybody, this is Matt Geiger with the You're on the Clock podcast, and if you're as hardcore of a football fan as I am, then this is the show that you need to be listening to. We talk about everything football related without giving you those garbage off the field reports, because quite frankly, who cares about that stuff anyway? So go to ontheclockpodcast.com where you can hear our show that comes out every Thursday, and you can also find out how to join our DraftKings fantasy football lineup. So once again, make sure you're going to ontheclockpodcast.com.
Chasing Pucks with Panger. You can go see Darren Pang on his Twitter handle at Panger40. Kelly Chase at Chasing Pucks 39.
At Chasing Pucks 39. I think our picture of us on this on our NHL podcast is really good.
And hey, the young lady Holly that took the picture, she did a fantastic job.
Did she ever?
Yeah, she made me look good. That's hard to do.
Yeah,
I don't know how they touched up that picture, but it looks pretty good.
She works at that Pure Bar training facility.
Yeah,
she's good.
She is good.
She's good. Good girl.
Listen, it's been a fantastic week of hockey. We got a great week coming up ahead of us. Looking forward to some games. Next week, we'll probably talk a little bit about the teams that got out of the gate in a hurry that were maybe not expected, and some of the teams that didn't get out that we expected to get out of the gate. We've got some fun stuff coming up. We're going to talk next week, too, see if we can roll in a guest here and get them on Skype and throw them on to the podcast. And, hey, man, I love doing it. I love coming on and talking hockey. We do it anyway every day, buddy.
Yeah, we do. And it's... this actually gives us more freedom, to be honest with you.
I love it.
To wheel like this, we have such limited time to get points across and to have some real hockey conversations.
So like when we say pucker factor or he couldn't pass gas or
you probably wouldn't say that on there. Although you did say pucker factor on the air one time.
Yeah, I might have.
I've got a kind of a famous one where I said. Hi again, everyone. Welcome back inside. Alongside Dave Strader, I'm Darren Pang. Just moments ago, Stefan Yell tries to beat off Chris Chelios. It was a real memorable moment for me. It was on national TV on ESPN, and
you saw the Bob Miller one too, right?
I saw Bob Miller's, and we all have those moments where we ramble on and don't know what we're saying. But if you can't laugh at yourself, then you can't laugh at anything.
Hey,
big
listen,
boy.
I think it's fantastic. Yeah, I get a chuckle out of a lot of the things that we hear, see, or whatever. But the Bob Miller one, if you haven't checked it out, about the guy standing with 8 inches in front of the net with 8 inches of shaft in his hand, is pretty fantastic as well. So,
Hall of Famer Bob Miller.
Oh yeah, Hall of Famer.
Happens to him, it could happen to anyone.
And it does.
Oh, I love it,
folks. That's a wrap. Chasing Pucks with Panger, NHLpodcast.com. We love you. Love doing it. Panger, have a good week, pal.
Have a great week. You too, buddy.
Over and out, folks. Over and out.
This has been Chasing Pucks with Panger, a Lineup Media Group production. Find the show online at NHLpodcast.com, plus on iTunes, Stitcher, and all major podcast outlets. Get access to all of the Lineup Media Group shows at lineupmediagroup.com.